Okay, I turned off TTS. All right. The real reason. Okay, guys, we got another one today. The real reason. Can't say it, bro. The real. I'm saying it like. I'm saying it like I'm Gen Alpha, bro. I think I am Gen Alpha. I have no idea. Okay. All right. Bro's holding me at gunpoint. The real. All right, guys. We got another one for y'all today. This one is the real reason why everyone hates Gen Alpha. If y'all don't know what Gen Alpha is, it's the generation that's going on right now. I think it's gonna end in like the next like 3 or 4 years maybe, but I have no idea when Gen Alpha ends. But yeah, all right, Lockman, we got this one.
Have you ever heard of Generation Alpha?
This new generation might.
Are you kidding? And then it breaks. Like I hate.
Have you ever heard of Generation Alpha?
This new generation
I've gotta stop using this thing.
might just be brain dead.
We are in a crisis.
This next generation might just be doomed.
It is
We
doomed.
truly are in the end times of humanity.
I don't think we understand how bad it's actually going to get.
The next
Gotta go though. Bounce bad. All right. Good night, bro. See you later.
generation is
Chances are, you've probably seen a recent influx of videos and articles on Gen Alpha decrying the latest generation as doomed, hopeless, or some other phrase describing how they're uniquely worse than previous generations. But is this really true? Is Gen Alpha actually the worst generation? Let's examine why.
It is. No. Well, Gen Y. What's Gen Y? Wait, which one's Gen Y? Wait, when was that?
The subject of Gen Alpha is trending in the first place. Part of it has to do with the simple fact that Gen Z is currently being replaced by Gen A as the latest rising generation, slowly developing their own identity and culture.
Oh, is Gen Y the is that's millennials. Yeah, it's millennials. Gen X, millennials, then then Gen Z. Guys, I'm like in that in between year. I'm the year where Gen Alpha like started, like the year before it started, or like I'm in the in between. I'm literally the year in between that. So they said Gen Alpha started in 2010, and they said Gen Z ended in 2012. So I'm the year in between, and I'm the year in between that. So I'm like, I don't even know what I am, bro. It's just confusing.
Explained in my previous video. Another big reason why it's trendy to panic over Gen Alpha is because of some serious concerns that must be acknowledged. Most notably, the alarming number of screens children today have access to, the pandemic and its effects on Gen Alpha's performance in school.
Let's be honest, guys. The world's never gonna go back to the way it was before COVID. Like, there's no possible way. There's no way they got people learning in VR. Is this real? Wait, is this real? Hold on, is this actually real? Wait, what? Is
The
that real?
unprecedented era of children growing up in a world with VR
How the hell weren't you at Pet Band today or yesterday? Because I didn't really want to go.
and AI. Despite all these very real issues, no one is talking about the biggest reason for
Let's
this
be honest, Michael, they got crapped on in the state tourney, bro. The guys on the other team, bro, they were just like, green! They were the next, those guys on the other team are the next LeBron, bro. Like, LeBron.
trend of Gen Alpha doomerism, society's timeless fear and panic over the youth.
Michael, you know why I didn't go yesterday? Is because y'all were going to get back at midnight, and I was not trying to get back at midnight. That is too late. Like, too late. I'm not trying to do that. But yeah.
Today, it's Generation Alpha and their inability to read,
Valid, yeah.
obsession over Skibbity Toilet, and
Skibbity, guys, like, how does anyone ever watch Skibbity Toilet? I don't get it. How does anyone ever watch that stuff? Like, even Gen Alpha, like, how do you get addicted to that? Like, I don't get it. I really don't.
lack of basic manners. But people seem to forget that just
Are these kids crashing out over their iPads? Are these just like all their kids?
yesterday, it was Generation Z and our lack of basic manners, obsession over MLG brain rot, and non-existent attention span.
That's true.
And millennials, don't think we forgot about you either. You were the subject of abuse by boomers for years, with the infamous 2013 Time article summarizing Gen Y as lazy, entitled
I didn't know they were also Gen Y. I didn't know that.
narcissists, as well as getting blamed for the death of everything from golf to credit cards. Now you might
Credit cards? What? credit, no, credit cards are getting more modern. Cash is kind of going out of style. That is, yeah, what?
I think it stops with the millennials, and that prior to their existence, all the generations lived in peaceful harmony. But that
No.
couldn't be further from the truth. Generation X was known as the lost generation, being scolded for their lack of work ethic, disinterest in marriage, and short attention span. Now, to the 1%
What every single freaking generation, bro.
of my audience who are boomers watching this, you might be laughing at the rest of us right now. But just because your elders are no longer on this earth to expose you, doesn't mean that I won't. This may come as a surprise because boomers have often hidden this fact from anyone younger than them, but the generations who fought in World War I, survived the Spanish flu, lived through the Great Depression, and fought in World War II, accuse baby boomers of being the spoiled, immoral, narcissistic generation.
Hey y'all, just want to give a quick little message in between this video. Do not forget to like and comment on this video. Also, subscribe to the channel, guys. We are almost at 600 subs. Literally 4 away as of recording this bit right now. So go sub, guys. I would really appreciate it. If we hit 600, bro, it'd be a huge milestone to hit. And then hopefully maybe we'll hit 1,000 in like a year. Hopefully. 1,000 in a year. Let's make that a goal. 1,000 in a year. Alright, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. Also, guys, I'm not gonna be able to stream and post videos as much because I have a lot of things going on. I play tennis and the tennis season has started up, and I practice every day all week, from 3 to like 5. So if I have all my homework done, I'll try and stream for like 2 hours. But yeah, I'll try and get videos done on the weekends. There will be like 5-hour streams on the weekends, like Fridays and Saturdays. Not this Friday. If y'all are watching this before Friday, like if you're watching this on like the 3/25 of the 26th or something, like I'm gonna be not streaming this Friday. But yeah, I will try to do long streams on Friday and Saturday. And we'll probably do a lot of recording. I'm gonna actually try and get myself to edit videos and actually do shit on Sunday. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Sorry it was such a long bit, but yeah, hope y'all enjoyed it. See y'all later. Peace.
That plagues society. Now, I don't know if it was generational trauma or just projection, but almost every modern label we associate with the younger generations.
Yeah, like it's them or the generations like one up. They just like freaking trash talk the generation above the generation in front of them. It's trash talking. So millennials trash talk Gen Alpha, baby boomers trash talk millennials, and the silent generation trash talks boomers. At least the silent generation does. Greatest generation probably trash talks Gen X. But yeah.
Whether that be for Gen Alpha, Gen Z, millennials, or Gen X, were all originally used for boomers. But it doesn't
it's just getting progressively worse. Yeah, I know.
even stop with them. Pretty much every generation prior to boomers have had older people bemoaning them for many of the same critiques we hear for the youth today. It's a phenomenon that occurs when humans reach a certain age that I'd like to call the kids these days effect. Kids these days are obsessed with luxury, have bad manners, contempt for authority, show
That's
disrespect.
kids in general. That's kids in general. Kids in general are obsessed with luxury. Kids in general have bad manners, contempt for authority. Do you think my dad's generation didn't have contempt for authority, or do you think the boomers didn't have contempt for authority? No, they had contempt. Every generation, they acted the same way, and their generation before that said the same thing about them. It's just the cycle goes on. You get it?
Respect for their elders and prefer chatting over going outside. Children don't respect their parents and tyrannize their teachers at school. You might assume this was written by a disgruntled elder ranting about how Gen Alpha is ruining society as we know it. But this wasn't written.
Okay, guys, let's be honest though, Gen Alpha is the worst of it. And also like late Gen Z. Or just Gen Z too.
With Gen Alpha in mind. No, it wasn't for Gen Z either. In fact, it wasn't for millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, or any generation you can think of. This was from Aristotle, with me simply adjusting the passage to the way we speak today, but nonetheless from someone who lived over
The only way I can think of it getting better is having another World War and Great Depression. I mean, no one wants another World War. No one wants that. That's why there's things now in the future. But if there was another World War, um in Great Depression. I mean, Great Depression, I mean, that just happens in countries like, say, like Argentina, or no, Venezuela? Well, no, maybe, I think it was Argentina. Like Argentina, they were one of like the richest countries in the world. And then it ended up being some like communist leaders or something came into the country, and there ended up being a Great Depression. There was the currency went broke and all this. That's a Great Depression. Each country has a Great Depression at some point in time. Britain probably had a Great Depression sometime that I don't know about. Probably every single country in Europe had a Great Depression at some time. Probably except for Switzerland, because Switzerland is just like that. But like every single country's has been in some war and has had some kind of Great Depression, or some way the economy has kind of collapsed in a way and was doing bad. That's just everything. Obviously nobody wants it, but it would make people tough up. Yeah. Like we didn't, it's like the way say a business through generations of a family. Say, okay, so the first generation is the one that built it up, and say, okay, I'm gonna say it like this. So my dad made a business, and my dad made a business in 1997. He's built that up for 30 years, and when he made it, he was broke, like literally just broke. He had no money. And my sister was born in 2000. He saw the struggle of my dad not having money, and they couldn't buy nice things, and they couldn't do things like go on trips. Like, my dad didn't have his honeymoon until 11 years after he got married, in 2011, when I was born. But I'm still technically the second generation, but by the time I was born, he wasn't really struggling anymore. So I'm technically counted as the third generation. So see, my dad built a business and he didn't have any money. My sister saw that struggle, and she knows how the struggle went, and she learned that what you need to do to not be in a struggle. I never saw that, so I don't really know how it was, and I can't really have a say on it. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm yapping a lot here, but like, I'm just trying to tell y'all, you know?
2,000 years ago, complaining about the newer generation born after his.
Because we as a society are getting worse, and with people not wanting to work, it would just help society as a whole, which to make things worse and worse. Because that's how the world works. That's how society works. Is things are going to get worse. Things are going to get better, and then it's going to collapse, and then it's going to build itself back up. Then it's going to collapse. It's like the stock market. It goes up and down and up and down. There's going to be wars till the end of time. What the Bible says, there will be wars till the end of time. The Israelis and Palestinians will be fighting till the end of time. I'm not trying to be political here, guys, but they've been fighting since the start of time. Literally. Ever since the Jews. Ever since the Jews were a thing, they've been fighting. That war will always be ongoing until the end of time. There will be ceasefires that'll collapse. There will be this and this and that. There will be wars till the end of time. There will be everything. Eventually everything will end. But that's not going to be probably till the end of time. Wars will never end. There will never be full peace in the world. Never. Never will be. It's because it's just, there's so many conflicts, especially in Africa. Like, I hope y'all realize is that there's more wars going on now than there were back in the 40s. Like, World War II was just one big war with a bunch of countries. There wasn't any civil wars, really anything going on. Because the people, they mostly colonialized Africa, so it was just under their control, and they weren't really doing anything. Like, everything was just one big great war, so it just counted as one war. There's more separate wars going on now than there were back then. I'll be honest. But yeah.
So why does this happen? Why do older generations insist on using the same stereotypes for youth that were used against themselves when they were young? There seems to be two major reasons for this way of thinking. The first being that, much like how nostalgia is rose-tinted, people seem to conveniently forget the many critiques and issues their generation faced when they were younger, and inadvertently push these same critiques onto the next generation. The second reason is people tend to feel that their generation was special in some way. When researching this subject, I would often look into videos of every generation in their era of youth, and see endless comments by said generations lamenting about how much the world has changed since they were young. But more interestingly, almost without fail, they would make a statement that was something along the lines of, "We had it so good back then." The younger generations don't know what it's like to live without. For generations prior to boomers, it was TV. For baby boomers who grew up with TVs, it was computers. For Gen X who first saw computers, it was social media. For millennials with MySpace and AOL, it was smartphones. For Gen Z with their iPhones, it's now AI. And undoubtedly, for Gen Alpha in the future with their ChatGPT 15 and Vision Pro 6,
I swear to God, if schools start teaching with VR, that's how you know that society is gonna end soon. Like, no, I swear to God, bro. If schools start teaching with VRs, bro, or like MetaQuest, bro, or doing some kind of teaching in like a way where it's in the classroom, I guarantee you the end of time's coming. Jesus is coming back to Earth, bro. I guarantee you, bro, Jesus is gonna come back to Earth and destroy us all. It's gonna be Armageddon, bro. I swear. Yeah, actually, I'm not even kidding. I feel like if they start using VRs in the classroom, bro, like MetaQuest stuff, it's literally Armageddon. Jesus came back, and only certain people are gonna be alive.
it will probably be something like brain chips. This phenomenon
yeah.
seen across every generation
Brain
is
chips.
only logical. In a world that is so rapidly changing and full of new technologies that have positive utility, but also plenty of negative effects as well, it's easy for older people to point to a specific thing that ruined today's children, or at the very least, made childhoods today so much less enjoyable than previous ones. Everyone has a bias in seeing themselves as part of
Everyone grew up differently. Everyone has grown up differently. Everyone grew up with different things. Like, I'm growing up with computers, and I have a board monitor set up with 2 computers. This is the world now. Is that people have PCs and people have their phones. They have phones. They have computers. They have this and this and that, and they have all this cool tech. And millennials say they grew up outside, outdoors, and doing all this. I mean, guys, to be honest, Gen Z still goes outside. We all still go outside. We still play sports. All right, we're not that bad, like that bad. You know what I'm saying? But like. That's crazy.
last true generation, before it all went bad. But what's really true is, there is no last generation. As long as humans continue to create new technologies and new humans, there will always be a revolutionary technology or product that changes how children grow up compared to kids in the past.
Yeah.
For
there's always gonna be
millennials
new
and Gen
things,
Z,
and people are gonna
the
grow up
internet
differently.
was our revolutionary technology, allowing us to have access to a free and open space to connect with others.
Not to be political, but Russia, they don't have brain rot issues or any of that crap, and we still have it, but at a slower rate. It's because social media is under sanctions. Russia still has social media. They have like other platforms. Like, it's kind of like the Red Note, like kind of like that, but it's like Russian way. Like, we're not trying to be political here, chat. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the sanctions will come up after up off Russia. Maybe, but I don't know.
Learn more about the world and just have fun. However, without a VPN, our personal information is exposed with 13 still office, a personal favorite intervention by the Gen A doomers. The pandemic and its effects on children.
Oh god, let's be honest, guys. The pandemic was, I think it affected education for like the next 10 years. Like literally for the next 10 years. Like whatever grade you were in, anything you were in, during the pandemic, if you were in school, it affected you in some way. I don't think some people were able to graduate as like well, you know? Guys, let's also think COVID was 5 years ago. Wait, COVID was 5 years ago. Wait, I think the pandemic like started like close to the date. It's the 22nd right now. Bro, I'm getting nostalgia flashbacks. Oh my god. I'm not going to talk about it on stream. And the effect of social media, social skills the most. Yeah, people didn't go outside. Okay, I think the pandemic, it had an effect on health as well. People weren't going outside and actually like doing stuff, so that didn't help anything. That didn't help the general health. And I don't even know, dude. Like, dude, y'all, think about it. The pandemic was 5 years ago. The pandemic feels like it was yesterday. Like, actually, it feels like it was yesterday. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. But the pandemic actually feels like it was yesterday. Like, oh my god, I'm actually getting nostalgia flashbacks. Bro, I remember sitting on the Google Meets. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Education, Gen Alpha not knowing how to multiply.
Okay, if we don't know how to multiply, we are deeply into Wood 5, bro. I'm gonna explain it in our 6 terms. Chat, if we don't know how to multiply, we don't have a rank. We're level 1. If we don't know how to multiply, we're level 1. If we don't know basic multiplication, what's below wood? We're plastic 6. That's all I gotta say.
And the excessive use of devices,
Yep,
creating the
that's
term
the big one.
iPad kids. To the first point, the pandemic had a devastating effect on children's learning capabilities when classes were online. But fortunately, for the vast majority of schools, they were shut down for at most a year or two. So while the effects of lockdown still exist, since we're in the immediate aftermath of it happening, they appear to be waning, and educators believe that
I think in the next 5 years, it'll probably go back to the normal. What happened to the multiplication tables anyway? What do you mean? What do you mean that what happened to it? I don't even know. I mean, guys, let's just think in the next 5 years, I think it'll probably come back. No, maybe like 7. Like 7 or 8 years from now, it'll probably just go back up. Because there's going to be new kids coming in and they actually started in school and they're learning this and this and that. Like, why aren't they used? What do you mean? Like, multiplication tables? Like, I'm trying to forget. They stopped using them? Chat, what's some... I forget. Multiplication table is... Can we please look it up? Multiply... Oh, like this? Oh, the charts. Oh, I remember these. Oh, these were so comp back in the day, bro. Well, why am I saying back in the day? I sound old. Like, dude, these were so comp. Dude, did they stop using these? Why would they stop using them? That makes no sense.
over the long term, kids
They aren't learning them? There's no
would eventually be able to catch up and regain lost ground. When it comes to Gen Alpha not learning their
Chat, the problem is with the education system here in the US, we spend minimum $10,000 per kid in the US. And shoot, what was I gonna say? And we're the 40 somewhere in the 40s, I think 43rd or 45th ranked in the world with education, and we spend $10,000 per kid on like stuff. That'll be level 2 for Michael. But not. And I think, guys, the Department of Education being eradicated is gonna help, because that should have been eradicated a long time ago. The Department of Education, because guys, I don't think a lot of y'all know this. 80% of the money that comes out of the Department of Education, DC, doesn't go in throughout the country. It stays in DC. 80% of the money. Only 20% goes out to the country. That's why we're 45th ranked in the world. We don't have any freaking money. Like,
application tables, it's
We're s-
often
we're
helpful
getting
to zoom
scammed.
out a little and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It was just yesterday when older folks were bemoaning Gen Z for not learning how to write in cursive. And it seems like we're doing the same
Yeah.
thing to Gen Alpha for not being taught how to multiply.
okay, cursive's okay. I don't know how to write in cursive. I don't even know. I don't know a lot of people, bro. Yo, my mom's a teacher. It's almost like all of what is going on, and it's so bad in preschool. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. To anyone that's a parent, and I guarantee you, there's no one that's a parent probably gonna watch this video. But if there is, and if y'all are parents, and if you are gonna plan to have a kid, or if you already have a kid, do not let them have an iPad. I will do anything to prevent you from letting them have an iPad. I will bust down your door and take that iPad and smash it on the ground. Because iPads are actually what have caused, I think, electronics in general is what's causing this. Like, actually, in general, electronics are what are causing this entire problem. It's because kids have such a short attention span, is that they cannot concentrate in school. It's exactly why. And y'all know I'm right. It's true. But
Don't think. You never figured out how to think. Too stupid to understand and follow simple rudiment.
wait. He actually did it right. Okay, so LeBronzo put down. Oh my god, wait. Did he put down 5 for 3 times 2? Ew.
Entry instructions.
Okay. Let's be honest, doing math homework. Yo, this happened to me once. My dad was just screaming at me once for not knowing how to do it. I was like, no, it's like 2 times this happened.
Say you went to college. What would you study, you think?
But frankly,
That's such. My mom has to tell the preschoolers to put their AirPods away and to out their phone away too. To put away their phone too. Chat. Why do preschoolers have phones? No, why do preschoolers have no? I'm not even gonna question. Okay, AirPods. Why do we have AirPods?
it's a good
It's some Beats, bro.
thing that
Beats is Apple. Ah, fuck it.
Gen Z didn't waste time learning how to write in cursive, since almost everything by that point was being digitized and typed, rather than handwritten. And the same can be said for Gen Alpha. Why waste time learning multiplication tables when by this point, everyone and their dog has a phone that can do the math?
Okay, let's be honest though, you should be just learning it anyways. Why aren't you learning that? Even though you have a phone, if you don't have your phone and you don't know how to do multiplication, what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna be retarded and just like sit there? Two times 2 is 5. Like, what are you gonna do? When you don't have your phone, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Math for them. The classic
Okay, there's no way they got the dog scrolling on TikTok.
excuse teachers used to force previous generations to memorize them was,
That's probably true. I think I had Michael. Have we ever and canceled? What do you mean? Yo, Michael, have we ever had a teacher looking like this? Miss Mercer.
you won't always
No,
have
Miss Mercer's nice though. I like Miss Mercer.
a calculator in your pocket. But now, that's simply false. So
Yeah.
not learning their multiplication tables doesn't
Well,
make
let's be honest though. In the '80s, did anyone ever think that? Did anyone ever think that this was gonna be a thing? Did anyone ever think that this iPhone right here was gonna be a thing? Let's be honest. Did anyone ever think that? No one thought of that.
Gen Alpha more
I
stupid.
mean, maybe it was like
It's
a
just
thought in some people's heads, but no.
that the skills they should learn today are different from the skills we needed to
Miss
learn
Guzzi?
yesterday. It'd be much
Yeah.
more useful for kids to be taught, for example,
Miss
how to write
Kaiser.
precise prompts for AI engines, rather than memorizing what 8 times 7 is. Lastly, the most talked about issue with Gen Alpha is their
Gen Z isn't allowed to raise iPad kids. I hope that I have seen iPad kids and I've seen how bad, how bad addiction is. Like, it's worse than people fiending for a vape. Like, than these little fiends, bro. These little geek bar fiends. Just like sitting there for a vape and they just want it so bad. They want a vape, bro. Like, oh my god, you should see some of these people, bro. It's like a genuinely horrible addiction.
excessive use of
That's how I find iPad kids when they get their iPad taken away.
devices like iPads and smartphones. And I'll admit, this is perhaps the biggest question that doesn't have an easy answer.
Oh, I saw Fortnite, by the way. For any parent that thinks Fortnite is violent for their kids, why don't you read about the game a little? COD is violent for your kid. GTA is violent for your kid. R6? Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not gonna.
And videos of these iPad kids feel incredibly
Turkey was better
dystopian
than-
and sad to watch. The only real solution is for parents to set strict limits on the amount of
Yes.
screen time their children can
Or
have.
just never let them have it at all. And why don't you just take them to the park and have a little fun with them? Let's do that too. Let's just not, guys. Let's just get rid of the iPad. Let's make Apple. Let's make Samsung. Let's make Android. Get rid of the iPad, and make sure kids don't get it. Let's just do that, and just make these kids go to the park and play with other kids. Pause. Not like that, but like, you know what I'm saying, Chad. Like, go to the park and hang out with other kids. Let's do that instead. Let's just get rid of the iPad altogether. Y'all get what I'm saying?
have. And Gen Z? Let's try to take notes from millennials with Gen Alpha kids on what not to do when we raise Generation Beta. That is, of course, if we can
Is
ever.
beta next? Is beta the next generation here? Siege now. I got one more video to do now. Gen Z just hasn't learned how to parent. They let the iPads parent them. That sounds true. Dami with the level 2.
Afford to have children in the first place. But people seem to forget that before iPad parenting was a thing, there was a different screen parents would use to raise their children.
TV.
The television screen. Before Steve Apple even uttered the word iPad in 2010, millions of children around the world were essentially raised by their TV for decades. Often those from working class families due to parents who were too busy keeping a roof over their heads or too tired after work to spend more time with them. And yet, the vast majority of us seem to be doing just fine, which will probably be the same for most Gen Alpha kids too. In fact, I'm willing to bet that there are plenty of adults who grew up with the first iPads over a decade ago that are able to confirm in the comments how they eventually grew out of their iPad kid phase and aren't freaks to society. Oh yeah, and remember the
Okay, this is crazy. This is a crazy video. The hell is he watching? I'm watching why everyone hates Gen Alpha. Because who doesn't hate Gen Alpha? Why am I watching an ad for Uber? Alright. Yo. And they won't grow out of it? I mean, it's just like we're gonna have to see, bro. We'll never know if they grow out. Maybe they won't. And that's just how it works. Okay, this is devious though. Why do you have TikTok and you're playing Minecraft?
dystopian video I showed earlier of that kid mindlessly scrolling through his devices? Here's him also playing outside like any normal child. But of course,
Yeah.
we know which video got millions of views and which one got ignored. Maybe these kids aren't so doomed after all. With all
I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, hold on. You are so crazy, real. No, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I play a sport. I go outside. I play basketball. I try to play basketball every day now. I'm trying to, and I'm trying to actually like do physical activity and like actually do stuff, do sports. Because if I don't do that and I just stick on my computer the whole time and just scroll TikTok or scroll YouTube Shorts or look at Twitter or look at Reddit, I'm gonna end up like not doing it.
all this
Like, I'm gonna end up
generational talk,
different, you know?
you might start thinking, does any of it matter? Are generations even real? The answer is yes. They are real, they do matter, and here's why. The best way to understand this is to think about color. Both color and generations exist on a continuum that flows from one to another. And every culture and even every individual may have their own opinion
Wait,
on
what
where
was that?
and every culture and even
Red revolutionaries. Oh.
every individual may have their own opinion on where each begins and ends. You can also be more precise with both these concepts by creating names for areas that are in between two things we already identify.
Oh, so it went from Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, now it's back to A, and it's probably just gonna keep going down the alphabet.
Like blue and green and call it cyan, or zillennial for people who are in between what we identify as
What am I? What am I? No, I'm right here. What am I? What am I in between, bro? Can this guy
Gen
please
Z
tell me?
and millennial. Yet just because we
Didn't even say it.
can't all agree on whether to call this blue or green or cyan or teal, no one says that color isn't real. So just like with colors, even if we argue about where exactly each generation starts or ends, that doesn't
Yeah, I don't even know, dude, because it doesn't even matter.
make the concept of generations any less real. There absolutely are differences between people who grew up in the 60s compared with those who grew up in the 90s. And it's important for us to have meaningful terms for these categories, even if no one can agree on their exact borders. Okay, great, you might say. So generations are real. But tell me, Bofang, which one is the worst? Well, believe it or not, it is indeed Gen Alpha. But it's also
We all know it, bro. It's just obvious, dude. Gen Alpha is obviously actually the worst generation. Like, let's be honest. It's the worst generation. Because of the way they're being taught and grown up. It's just honestly, it's because of the way they're being grown up. That's why it's the worst. I mean, everyone in Gen Alpha is below 14. Everyone, it's a minimum 14 or 15. Everyone in Gen Alpha is below 14 or 15 years old. They're growing up. Gen Alpha is just growing up right now. No one's in Gen Alpha is an adult yet. No, they're not paying taxes. And ain't no one in Gen Alpha is paying taxes, and no one's doing nothing. So we just gotta see. What's up, Monkey? But we just gotta see how it works out, because we will never know. Maybe the iPad kids will still stick to their thing, going into that, like going later on, you know. I mean, I don't know anyone my age that sticks on iPads. I don't know anyone. And those kids that are on iPads are like 8 or 9 or 10 years old. They'll probably grow out of that. And that's probably right. They'll probably actually grow out of it.
Also Gen Z and millennials and Gen X and boomers and every generation prior for creating the world that Gen Alpha had to grow up in. You see, any generation that you or I claim to be the worst couldn't have been so without previous generations creating the very environment for them to be the worst to begin with. Gen Alpha can't be the worst generation without their millennial parents giving them iPads to overuse and their boomer grandparents inventing these devices in the first place. Boomers can't be the worst generation without their parents creating abusive households for them to grow up in, after coming home from world wars started by their parents. But the inverse is also just as true. You can always point to past generations that created the conditions for a certain generation to be the very best. For Martin Luther King to lead the civil rights movement through peaceful means, he studied Gandhi's success with nonviolent activism against the British Empire. For the Wright brothers to be the first to fly, Otto Lilienthal pioneered the initial gliders that paved the way for future developments in aviation. For Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay to climb Mount Everest on the 9th expedition, George Mallory led the first 3 expeditions that gave them the knowledge to finally reach its peak. For Neil Armstrong to set foot on the moon, mathematicians like Norbert Wiener needed to build the framework to calculate how to land him there in the first place. Isaac Newton, who inspired Einstein to develop his theory of relativity, and himself inspired by Kepler's laws of planetary motion, is famous for creating his theory of universal gravitation. But few people know him for his wise, yet humble writings, once saying, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." We all stand on these shoulders of giants from the past, which is why the worst generation isn't Gen Alpha. It's every generation.
Every generation has its flaws, bro. Who knows what the worst generation was? Who knows how it was during caveman times? Maybe that was the worst generation. Maybe Isaac Newton's generation was the worst generation. Maybe Albert Einstein. Maybe World War II generation. Maybe World War I. You'll never know. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of something like you'll never know. You'll never really know what's the worst generation, dude. Crazy, honestly.
But it's just as much why the best generation is...
But guys, we only think about so many generations. We only think literally till like the silent generation or the greatest generation. That's like only till we think of. There was thousands and thousands of more than that, millions of generations before, say the greatest generation, World War II generation. Much before that. No one, I bet no one knows. No one thinks that way about generations. I didn't really think about that way actually till I just watched this. Makes me think different.
Also, every generation.
Yeah, every generation is different, gang. But nah.
If you enjoyed this video, I'd be incredibly grateful.
That kind of scared me, I'm gonna be honest. Go sub to Bofang Chang. Go to Bofang Chang. He made a actually great video, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, y'all. WVid. Love that guy.